Hello students of class 6, welcome back to another English class for you all, and today also we will be continuing with the same topic that we did in the last class, that is pronouns and kinds of pronouns. So students, in the last class we understood that some of the words like he, she, it, they, you, him, those, her. So all these are some of the examples of pronouns, isn't it? And then under pronouns also there are so many different categories. So all these pronouns will be divided into different categories. So we understood that there are 8 kinds of pronouns, right? And in the previous class we already did the 4, right? The first 4, that is personal pronouns, interrogative pronouns, demonstrative pronouns, and then possessive pronouns. So we already did those 4, right? So today we will be doing with the remaining 4, that is indefinite pronouns. Here some of the examples of indefinite pronouns are some, many, few, none, and all. So these are the examples for indefinite pronouns. The next one, the 6th one, is reflexive pronouns. So some of the examples under reflexive pronouns are myself, yourself, himself, herself, ourselves, or themselves. Okay, so these are some of the words that will come under reflexive pronouns. And the 7th one is distributive pronoun. So under this, words like each, either, and neither will come under distributive pronouns. And then the last one is relative pronouns. Here some of the examples are who, whose, whom, that, which. So these are some of the examples that come under the category of relative pronouns. So today we will do 4 kinds of pronouns, that is indefinite, reflexive, distributive, and relative pronouns. So let us try to understand all the 4 one by one. The first one is indefinite. Indefinite pronoun, that is in page number 12 of your textbook. Here, if we are trying to understand the meaning of indefinite, students, we need to understand this meaning, right? This one. So what is indefinite? Here, indefinite would mean we are not sure. Suppose I say, my name is Lily. Then I'm very sure what I'm talking about, or I'm talking about just one person, right? You are in class 6. That means I'm very sure that all of you are studying in class 6. But for some sentence, we are not very clear. How much is the number, right? So that is the meaning of indefinite, not sure about something. So in that, we use these examples. So if you look into the textbook, they have given some examples, isn't it? Before that, let us try to look into the definition of indefinite pronouns. Indefinite pronouns are those pronouns which refer to persons or things in a general way. They do not refer to any particular person or thing. Here, general, the word general would mean studying or referring as a whole, right? Not pointing to any particular person, but referring generally. And here also they have said that it doesn't point out to any particular person or thing, right? So some of the examples under indefinite pronouns can be some are born great. So we all know that some people, they are born great, but we are not sure of who the persons are. So that's why we are trying to understand that some people are born great, and we are trying to understand the meaning in a general way. That's why we put the indefinite pronoun some. If you look into the second example, many of these eggs are rotten. So here it is understood that there are many eggs, right? But we cannot pinpoint each and every rotten egg, isn't it? So generally it is said, or they are saying that many of the eggs were rotten. Few escape unhurt. So here also the word few is an indefinite pronoun, right? So we all know that some people has escaped. According to the sentence, we understand it that way. But we are not sure how many people or how many persons escape, right? So that is why we use the word few. So students, you must have understood the meaning of indefinite pronouns, isn't it? When we are not sure of the exact number, or when we are not sure about the person that we are talking about, and when we are trying to understand things in a general way, we are not pinpointing to anyone but generally as a whole, then we use indefinite pronouns like some, many, few, none, or all. So that is about indefinite pronouns. I hope you're clear with the concept. If you look at the next one, that is reflective pronouns. So what are reflective pronouns? If you want to understand about this pronoun, then first you have to understand this meaning, right? So reflexive. So what is reflexive or reflection? I'll give you an example, students. If you look into the mirror, if you stand in the mirror and look, then you will see a reflection of yourself, isn't it? That means that same person you can see. That means it's like the same person is coming back to you, right? You can reflect. So same with reflective pronouns. Here, these are the words that you can use. And if you look into the textbook, let us try to understand the definition of reflexive pronoun. Pronouns in which the action of the subject returns or turns back on the subject itself are called reflexive pronouns. That means if there is a subject, or if we are talking about somebody or an animal or a thing, then that becomes the subject, or that becomes the main point, isn't it? So in reflexive pronoun, the subject, it comes back to itself, right? So that is why it is known as reflexive pronouns. If you look at the examples in page number 13, I injured myself. So here, I is the subject, or in this sentence, the word I is the most important because this is the word that is telling something about that person, right? So that is why I is the subject or the main focus of this sentence. And here, I injured myself. Here, I and myself are related, isn't it? They are talking about the same person, right? That is why reflexive pronoun. That means the subject, when we talk about the subject, it comes back again to the same subject. The second one, you hurt yourself. So here also, you is the subject, isn't it? We are talking about you. So you is the subject and yourself is the reflexive pronoun. Okay, so that means the subject and the pronoun, they are related with one another, right? If we look at the third one, we often talk to ourselves. So here in the third one, again another very important point, we is a plural, isn't it? That means more than one person, right? So if the subject is plural, then the reflexive pronoun should also be plural. That's why we often talk to ourselves. That means we is a plural subject. That's why the reflexive pronoun is also plural. That is ourselves. That is the same thing that they are talking about in the table that they have given. Right after the examples, you can see a table, right? So there in the table, it's very simple. If the subject is talking about the first person I, then the reflexive pronoun should be myself. Or if the the subject is a second person, that is you, then the reflexive pronoun should be yourself. So according to the subject, the reflexive pronoun should follow. For example, I'll give you an example. I injured myself. That is the right word, isn't it? We cannot say I injured themselves. That will be wrong, isn't it? Because the subject and the reflexive pronoun, they are not agreeing with one another, right? So it will change the meaning of the sentence. So that is why we really need to keep in mind whether the sentence is talking about the first person, the second person, the third person, or whether the subject is beginning with a plural or singular noun. Okay, we all know that pronoun is used instead of a noun, right? So if the noun is, in simple words, if the noun is plural, then the pronoun should also be plural, because pronoun is talking about the same noun, isn't it? So the noun and the pronoun should follow together. I'll give you another example. Lucy is a girl. So here, Lucy will be the noun, isn't it? And we cannot say he is studying in class 6. We cannot say like that, isn't it? Because the noun and the pronoun should agree with one another. So we all know that Lucy is a girl, right? So the right pronoun should be she. So the right sentence will be not Lucy is a girl, he is studying in class 6. That is the wrong answer. And then the right answer will be Lucy is a girl, she is studying in class 6. So that is how the noun and the pronoun, they should agree with one another, okay? If you look into the seventh one, distributive pronoun. So here also, if you are trying to understand the meaning of this distributive pronoun, then you need to understand what distribution or distributive is, right? So when we say distribution or distributive, then giving or distributing, sharing with either one person or many persons, right? So that is the concept of distribution, right? So if you look at the definition of distributive pronoun in page number 13, distributive pronouns are those which show that persons or things are taken one at a time or in separate groups. So in a sentence, sometimes we talk about one person at a time. That means we are focusing on each person. Sometimes in a sentence, we will talk about two persons, right? And then we will give importance to both the two persons. And sometimes in another sentence, we can say that we are talking about two persons, but we are not agreeing with both the persons. That also can be distributive pronouns. So if you look into the example, you'll be more clear with the concept, okay? If you read the first example, each of them got a prize. So from here, each is the distributive pronoun, right? And from the distributive pronoun, we can understand that the prize was given to every one of the students or the children. That is why the word each is making the sentence very strong. We are trying to understand that everyone got the prize, right? So here the word each is focusing on every one of the students or every one of the children. Either of the two roads leads to Jaipur. Here, either can be used, the word either can be used to compare between two persons or two things, okay? Here in the sentence also, they are saying that there are two roads that are leading to Jaipur. And we are not sure whether one road or the other road is leading to Jaipur. So that's why either of the road, that means it must be one road or the other road, but not very sure, okay? So either of the two roads will lead to Jaipur. That means either is the distributive pronoun. And then from the word either, we can understand that there are two roads and we are not sure which one of them. So that's why we use the word either, right? The third sentence, neither of them came to see me. I told you that we can compare between two things and agree with both the things. And sometimes we also disagree with both the things or the persons, right? So this is the example given in the third part of the number C of your textbook. Neither of them came to see me. That means from the sentence we can understand that there were two persons, but neither of them they came to see me, right? And if you see, there is a box given under distributive pronouns. Here it is a very important information. Each refers to two or more persons taken one by one. That means if we use the word each, then we can discuss or write sentence between two persons or maybe more than two persons also. That is why the first sentence was saying that each of them got a prize, right? That means more than one or more than two. That means everyone got the prize, right? Either means one or the other. Here, the word either can be used when we are not sure about things or when we are not sure whether which one of them is correct or which one of the road is leading to Jaipur. We are not sure, right? So in order to guess that, because we know that one of the road will be leading to Jaipur, isn't it? So in that kind of situation, we use the word either. Okay, so some of the words that come under distributive pronoun is each, either, neither. I hope you are clear with that. The last one is relative pronouns. Relative pronouns here would mean showing relation or connected with something, right? So let us try to look into the concept of relative pronouns. Page number 14, the first one, relative pronouns. The pronouns who, whose, whom, that, and which join two sentences and refer back to nouns going before them. They are called relative pronouns. So here, in order to understand the concept better, let us try to look into the example. The first example that is given in the textbook, I made Ramesh. Ramesh stood first in the class. So here, there are two sentences, right? And both of the sentences, they are talking about the noun Ramesh, isn't it? So, noun, we all know that pronoun can be used instead of a noun, right? So, instead of using the word Ramesh again and again or more than one time, we can put a pronoun. So now, what kind of pronoun can we put? I met Ramesh who stood first in the class. So that is how we understand that we have joined both the two sentences and then we are trying to make the sentence more meaningful. Remember, even if we join the two sentences, we are not changing the meaning, okay? The meaning remains the same, but we're making the sentence more shorter by joining it with relative pronoun. Number two, we met a woman, her son was given a reward. So here, if we are to put relative pronoun, then the sentence will be, we met a woman whose son was given a reward. So here, from the words like who, whose, whom, that, which, all these sentences, they try to connect two sentences together and make the sentence more shorter, but the meaning will not change, remember. And if you look at some of the rules of who, whose, whom, which, or that, then you refer to page number 14 in your textbook. There, you can see that who is used only for persons. We cannot use it for animals or we cannot use it for things. Whose is also used for speaking about persons, okay? So we use words like who, whom, or whose for referring to persons like Ramesh or the woman or the lady or Mr. Chandra. All these are persons, isn't it? So we use it to refer to persons. But sometimes we refer to animals and things in the sentence also, isn't it? So if we are to refer to animals and things, then we can use which or that. Example, the dog which chased the thieves was killed. We cannot say the dog who chased the thieves was killed. Which is the better word to join the sentence, okay? And then for that also, the thief killed the dog that chased him. So here, that can be used, that can be used not only for things but for persons, animals and things also as a general term, okay? So students, today you have learned about indefinite pronouns, reflexive pronouns, distributive and then relative, right? So the concept of pronouns in Nagamese. So in Nagamese, what are pronouns? He, she, it, they, whom, him, all these are pronouns, right? So in Nagamese, we can say moi, apuni, toi, tai, or taikan, right? So all these are pronouns, and even in your languages also, even in your mother tongues also, you must be having own pronouns for feminine and masculine gender. For boys and girls, the pronouns might be different, right? And for things also, and for plural sentences also, right? So that is how, if you can understand about Nagamese and your mother tongue, then you'll be able to understand the concept of pronoun better. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon with a new lesson.